Would Ukraine be violating any international law by doing a preemptive raid?
So Peter's answering an interesting question, and I think overall he does a good job of answering it. I would throw a couple points in. Forgive me for doing it while walking my dogs. The thing is that in Peter's answer, I think he's just too conservative about what international law would allow. And, honestly, I don't even think this is a case of preemption, right? The war is going on. Preemption usually refers to the idea of attacking first, but doing so defensively. And the Russians attacked, that happened a long time ago. So now it's a question of whether these are legitimate targets. And a weapons depot that is controlled by the Russian government would seem to qualify. In fact, I'd argue it's a more valid target than these oil facilities in Leningrad, right? Because they are a mixed use thing, and these are weapons. Now, the fact that they're in another country, well, honestly, that country would have the responsibility to ensure that those weapons are not used against Ukraine. That if it was Moldova in charge, they, would have to go in and say, well, we're not going to take them over, but we guarantee Ukraine we won't let them take them out, right? That would be the kind of thing that would maintain Moldova's neutrality. Transnistria, what is, and so short of a very clear, ironclad kind of guarantee from Transnistria that they won't let Russia take those weapons out, those weapons are therefore a potential threat to Ukraine, and Ukraine, under its inherent right of self-defense guaranteed by the UN Charter, should be free to do what it needs to do. And of course, there's what you're allowed to do by international law and what people, what's popular to do or pissing, you don't want to piss people off. So clearly going in and having Moldova sanction whatever Ukraine does or give permission. By the way, if they have a claim over that territory, which they do, and they say go for it, that gives Ukraine just all the more cover, right? Because international law is not a clear-cut thing. There are levels of levels of clarity and levels of legitimacy to things, and then maybe questionable situations. So I don't think this is, though. I think that it's not as important the status of the ground that the weapons are on. What is important is, are the weapons a threat and who physically controls them? And, remember, as far as this question of is the ally of my enemy my enemy? Absolutely. The United States invaded Afghanistan, and Europe went along with us to help us, and in NATO, right? And Afghanistan didn't attack the United States. They allowed Al-Qaeda to use their territory as a base. And that created a legal casus belli for the United States and NATO to go in to Afghanistan and take over the entire place. So like I say, when it comes to self-defense, international law is pretty forgiving. And we have, now that there's a war going on, it's a kind of a low bar to establish that you need to act in self-defense.